we took it to Sundance, it was we'd done a short film beforehand with JK to sort of raise money for the film beforehand, and took that to Sundance. So it felt like it had been kind of a blur of a year to sort of get the money together and make the movie in this kind of mad rush and then take it there. So the only time I had to actually kind of simmer down and think or reflect was the kind of few weeks after Sundance, after we premiered the feature. It's a weird thing, I think, to make a movie in such a kind of sustained, kind of aggressive burst of sort of sleeplessness and just kind of we just had such a crammed schedule that we never had time for second guessing or kind of overthinking things.
Or second takes.
Or second takes. A lot of this movie was kind of almost autobiographical. So I mean, it's a lot of the charts. I guess there's two charts in the movie that are pre-existing that we licensed. Those are Whiplash, the title chart, and Caravan. She plays at the end. Both of those charts and those arrangements were things that I played as a drummer in a sort of similar jazz orchestra. And so I kind of, in a way, Whiplash was always the song that I hated the most, because it's the most kind of, it's sort of a song designed to screw with drummers in terms of how it kind of outlays its time signature changes. And Caravan was the song that I loved playing the most, because it's it's originally kind of was composed as sort of more of a ballad type thing, but this is a fast big band arrangement that always kind of gave me the most sublime sort of ecstatic feelings as a drummer. So those two twin poles to me were kind of the initial starting point, and then everything else was composed originally for the movie by Justin Hurwitz, who is a composer I've worked with before, and by Tim Simonek, another composer. And because we had Whiplash and Caravan as starting points, the rest of the music could kind of follow that kind of mold. And then I used the music as kind of, to storyboard and to do animatics to and everything. So it helped having, it was like doing a musical. It's kind of, you had every musical number figured out beforehand, audio-wise, and then we could figure out the imagery and editing to follow that. So by the time we were on set, we knew exactly where the camera would be for every note and measure of music. I knew that I wanted this to be a movie that would live in close-ups a lot, and so just kind of sitting there at the drum set, remembering the things that I saw very close up with my eyes, my hands bleeding, the sort of blisters kind of slowly growing and then growing bloody, the sticks breaking, drum heads being battered, looking like, kind of almost like weird sort of side quality paintings or Jackson Pollock paintings like on drum heads, like just stuff like that I remember kind of looking at very close up. So I knew that the movie needed to, for the most part, live in with that sort of language. So once you decide that, then that dictates a certain editing style, dictates a fast editing style that's going to be a very kind of punctuated series of close-ups that are then either going to be in counterpoint to the music or set to the music. So it all kind of started from some of the imagery I wanted to capture, and then the rest followed from there. But again, as with like the musical numbers, it helped having the musical language decided on beforehand, because everything could then follow from there. I just knew I didn't want the musical numbers to feel like we had just set up 3 cameras and just kind of haphazardly rolled and then found it in the editing room, that there had to be a certain kind of design to it and rhythm to it, that they had to feel like action sequences that had been sort of pre-designed to music. It started more with just my personal experiences, having had a conductor who sort of made a point of terrifying his students and his players, and that as a drummer, that my motivation for being a good drummer was born out of fear, and which in a way seems so antithetical to what art should be. So that it sort of started from me trying to grapple with my personal experiences and wonder whether they kind of said anything broader in terms of other art forms. Certainly jazz has a long and storied tradition of hostility among musicians, cutting sessions, birthing great musicians, exclusivity, birthing things like bebop and free jazz and so on and so forth, and also tyrannical band leaders from Harry James to Benny Goodman to Buddy Rich. So it's a very big part of the tradition of that music, and again, it just kind of makes me, it poses, I think, a lot of questions, especially with a music like jazz that's kind of renowned for its sense of freedom and its sense of the whole music itself being a kind of fuck you to authority. The fact that there's such an authoritative streak in a lot of big band jazz, at least, to me is kind of paradoxical and sort of interesting.